Hey everyone, it's Brock here. You know me as the Lifetarian, and always love to have conversations with powerful people around the planet, around momentum. Up and coming and conscious thought leaders, just beautiful people that have a lot to share. And I was having a conversation you guys might have seen recently with Daniel, and he said, "Brock, have you chatted to JP yet?" And yeah, it's fun, when someone thinks of someone else that they think highly of, and so forth. So JP Sears, he does some amazing videos on YouTube. Coaches and mentors, some beautiful people. And tell me more about it. I like how you almost make fun of some of the stuff we do. And you talked to me just before about the freedom that it brings you. But yeah, what are you up to at the moment?
Yeah, I'm just sitting here with red hair, feeling more handsome than I actually am.
Mm.
But yeah, what I'm up to, I had a day of working with clients, and actually literally right before our call, I just finished a dream session. I work with a dream therapist. I meet with her every 2 weeks over the phone, and we analyze my dreams from the nighttime, which ironically seems to help me make more sense of this waking dream of that we call waking life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just spilled out of that, looking into the dark closet of my own soul.
Yeah, nice. So with your clients, what are you up to at the moment? Do you take them through some of that work? What are you up to?
Dreams, dreams seem to find a way to integrate into some of the client work I do. By no means am I exclusive with it, but I get to work with people in the realms of their heart, mind, and soul. And some people, it's kind of like a diverse genre of clients. Some people come to me saying, JP, I'm in a painful, depressed, crappy place in my life. I just feel horrible. And they're in touch with hurt, but it's like constipated. It's not like processing and digesting. It's just like, I'm stuck and I need some help with this. So I wouldn't say I help them, but I help them to help themselves start their emotional digestion of their pain. And then other people come to me with some variation of self-sabotage. And I think self-sabotage is part of the human condition.
Mm.
And the self-sabotage we're aware of, whether we're messing up our relationships, blocking the flow of money, blocking the flow of happiness, just self-punishing. I think self-sabotage is always a symptom. And then I get to work with people on finding what are usually the hidden genesis is of the symptoms of their self-sabotage. And the best part about all that is when I'm alert enough, I just learn about myself all day when I'm working with people. I think clients are my teachers, they're mirrors. While I may not have lived their exact literal life circumstances, I've lived my version of it. So when my heart's open, I get to do a lot of work on myself all day while I'm working with clients. So yeah, it's a little bit about what I'm up to with clients right now.
I love when people say that too, because a lot of people that make it real significant, when you're coaching people that I'm the master and you're the student and everything. I love when people keep it fresh because I love it. I get on, doing the different coaching and so forth. And yeah, it just pops things open in me all the time. And
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, some of us get a guru complex. I won't pretend like I've never had that where, yeah, let me give you the answers and trick you into thinking that I can tell you how to live your life. And so you can put me on a pedestal and my insecure self can feel more temporarily secure about myself. But ultimately, when it's all boiled down, at least from my perspective, that's using people. It's a potential coach or guru teacher coming from a place of insecurity and, really using people to have a false sense of security about themselves. So again, my hands aren't squeaky clean. I've been there, done that. I'm grateful that I've done that in the past enough for me to learn to recognize it, because it's definitely not a place of integrity that I want to really live my life from.
sure. So the next question, I want to go in a different direction. I want to look at, say you 10 years ago and you today. we're just looking at your daily habits. I always like to get inside people's daily habits. So there's often clues to the magic that people live with. Doesn't necessarily mean if you go and just do those same things, you go and eat, drink the green water and do the different things that you're going to get the same results. But I always look for clues and see what magic comes out from there. So what's a day for you right now? What do you wake up? How do you wake up? How much do you sleep? What are you eating? What's going on? Tell me a bit through your day.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. In fact, probably really good for me to pay attention to how I answer it. So thanks for the therapy here. I typically wake up between 6 and 6:30. And then, I visit the bathroom. It's so elegant. And from there, I'm pretty much straight into a 10-minute meditation and then 5 minutes of dream work where I'm doing some dream exercises based on the work I'm doing with my dream therapist coach. And then, so after that 15 or so minutes of inner self work, which is short, but nonetheless, it's consistent. I'm usually out for a walk. I like to walk for about 30 minutes in the morning. I just feel so energized. It feels like it circulates life in me so that when I go to the next part of my day, there's just more of me that's present and there. And then, from there, then I'll take my dog for a walk, a little dog. So it's usually a 10-minute walk. And then from there, I go straight into work. But I've come to learn and find out how and give myself the gift of structuring my day. So the first part of my work day is creative work. So preferably an hour, sometimes 2 hours, but call it 1 hour. I'm doing creative work. I've recently written a book, so that was a lot of, it's not out yet, but that was a lot of consistent morning creative time. Sometimes I'm writing a video script. Sometimes I'm, writing a guest blog entry for someone, filming a video. So I love that. I can't say enough about what that means to me. I mean, that just brings probably my spirit into me more. And then from there, I usually at this point, it's 9 or 10 in the morning, and I'll have client appointments starting. And, between client appointments, I'm taking care of emails, Facebook messaging, and doing some social media posts, all the dirty deeds that need to be done nonetheless. And I probably forgot, usually I'll work in a smoothie for breakfast before my client work starts. And
any secret ingredients in your smoothie?
Avocado. Avocado has made me, statistically, it's made me 50% more handsome. More intuitive. But no, in that, a lot of nutritional value to avocado, I'm sure. But why it's a secret ingredient for me, it just gives it a better texture, almost like an ice cream thickness.
Yum.
It speaks to my inner child. So part of me gets to say, yeah, screw off life. I'm having ice cream for breakfast, even though I'm not. But yeah, I go pretty full on throughout the day. I'm pretty much nonstop. I'm always doing something productive, and ideally, this is ideal, but usually not happening. Ideally, I like to end my workday at 5 and then go into my garage. I have a home gym, do a 45 minutes of weight training. More often than not, I squeeze that workout in and then I go back into work mode. I might have some a client or two evening appointments scheduled. Otherwise, there's just always so much computer work that I'll be doing. And it might be editing a video in the evening time as well. And And man, so usually by the time it's all said and done, it's 7:30 or 8 o'clock where I'm kind of computers closed, uh, get my phone away from me, and sometimes my girlfriend and I'll sit down and zone out with Netflix. Sometimes I'll just mindlessly lose myself on my phone where I'm still actually doing work, but pretending I'm not because I'm sitting on the couch. So yeah, man, that's a little bit of the general picture of how my days look. I actually cap off my day. Ideally, I'm in bed by 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy being in bed earlier, and I also enjoy staying up later. So it's a little bit of inner conflict, but ping it on average, and I'll be in bed by about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun to actually pay attention to what you do, because I know when a lot of people see our Facebook feeds and things, they'll, say, look at your Facebook feed and just think, oh, he's just doing this, just mucking around, blah, blah, blah. And
it's always in party mode.
Yeah, that's it. And it's funny just to do it. That's why I like getting behind the scenes. I've had that with clients where they go, yeah, Brock, I've got a real business, but you and all your coach friends, just lying on the beach and jumping through the jungle, and we might just film ourselves all day, just showing what actually goes on, with all the different things. But
For sure.
But it's so nice to go through that process and see what you're up to. I love it, and keep mastering our craft.
For sure. I think part of me thinks like it'd be amazing if every day was like this new adventure I've never been in, where I'm going to the deepest, darkest jungle I've never been in and jumping off this cliff I've never jumped off of. And some of that, I want that in my life. I also do think there's some merit to the mundane consistency, where I borrow your word, I think that helps us develop mastery of our craft. And I've heard it said before, and I'll say it again because I happen to agree, that some of the mundane, the mundane of checking email, the mundane of kind of some of the daily habits that don't necessarily light our fire, I do believe that those are super beneficial, because not only do they provide structure for us that allows us to then kind of launch off into great creative things, but doing those mundane tasks also allows our mind to, in a way, zone out. Like, okay, I'm doing something. It doesn't require all of my attention. So while I'm doing that, oftentimes like these abstract creative ideas come in, like, a video idea, or this project. Wow, this would be a great project to do. So for me, those mundane tasks that sometimes it's like, I kind of despise those, I think they are really beneficial, at least for me. And by all means, I think everything in balance. If my day at least was just all mundane tasks, then I would just feel like a caged animal. But I think some of it is pretty beneficial to me.
Yeah, I like it. It's nice too, like just having that. I get in the shower as well. Like just certain things, I'll driving my car or washing my car, or some of my best ideas at home. I was talking to a friend about it yesterday. I was cleaning my driveway a while ago. You get these high pressure hoses, and I cleaned it for 4 hours. And I was thinking that I had all this work to do, and I had to organize a venue for Sydney, and I had to organize all the different people and everything. And then while I was gurneying the driveway, we call it a gurney in Australia, high pressure hose. While I was spraying off the driveway, all of a sudden I had inspiration to call someone, and everything was organized. It took me 1 minute.
Oh, wow.
And it's interesting when we get out of our own way, what can happen, which kind of leads me to my next question, creativity and dreaming. How do you go, like there can be that inner critic and the perfectionist within all of us. And then there's some part of us where we have to give ourselves permission to actually do what's most important, what's creative. You've put up some, I guess, somewhat controversial videos on YouTube, and I love them. I think they're awesome. And making fun of all of us in some ways, and this lifestyle we're into, and that's probably why we love it so much. So what goes through you? Some of your videos have got a lot of hits on YouTube. What goes through your mind when you put that up? When you first load it and you're filming it and all the different things.
Yeah, it's definitely a lively process. I think there's a lot that goes through my mind, and there's conflict as well. You know, kind of the light side of that conflict. There's like this sense of excitement and this deep satisfaction. Like, here's a piece of, it's my art, putting it out to the world.
Mm.
That's exciting. Like, there's this nice sense of accomplishment about that. And then there's also this, like, I think it's usually there for me to a degree, this super egotistical insecurity of like, how many views is this video going to get? And I hope it gets a lot. And what if it doesn't get a lot? So that's there. I guess that makes me a human. And then there's also this, you mentioned inner critic. Yeah, I've got that. So there, and I like to actively accept that inner critic, where I can look at some of the videos that I can now say, like, those are some of my favorite videos, and they're some of the most widely viewed videos. But at the time I was putting them up, like, that inner critic is like, I don't even know if this is good enough to put up. So I do believe that what we resist persists, and because it rhymes, it's obviously true. It's like eternal truth. Well, it rhymes, so of course it's valid. Absolutely. I do believe, like, if I try and resist that inner critic, that part of me that doubts, it'll just persist. It gets stronger. But conversely, I find when I accept it, when I allow a part of me, like, hey, it's okay, part of me doubts the crap out of this. It's okay. It just sort of like helps that doubting part of me, like, maybe shrink down a little bit, but like find its rightful place, rather than becoming like the inner dictator that controls the rest of me and gets like these hands not to click the upload button.
Yeah.
So I think that's important, at least for me, kind of like the paradoxical idea that the more we embrace something, the more it diffuses. So yeah, it's a whole swirl of emotions and excitement and security and insecurity that come up when I'm putting a piece of creativity out.
Yeah, I love to see it. I talk a lot about momentum. And one of the simplest metaphors I think of is it's almost like we're driving around with the handbrake on. And then these little things, once we clear this little bit of space within ourselves, it's like the handbrake comes off a little bit and the handbrake comes off a little bit. And I've wondered to myself, what would it be like if we just completely took the handbrake off? You know, people use these expressions like infinite and limitless.
Yeah.
You know, if we were just able to live in our full expression every day, you know, creativity, you know, someone that actually coaches and mentors me, she said, Brock, you know, you're a powerful guy. And what would you be like if you always had too much energy, too much money, too much confidence, too much of everything you need to go and fulfill your mission? What would that be like? And it's kind of fun to imagine that, like, every day just showing up 8,000,000%.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually, to me, that's exhilarating to hear you mention that. What my mind goes into kind of like the metaphor of the car that you brought up, and imagining, because I'm delusional enough or perhaps in tune enough to believe that there is something beyond ourselves guiding us every damn step we take in life, whether we fall off the cliff or we step into a bed of roses. We can judge it good or bad, but I think there is something bigger than us guiding us every darn step of the way. So because I have that belief, that makes me think, like, okay, being in the car going 8,000 miles an hour, there's no break at all. We're not in control. And I'm in the driver's seat, so part of me wants to think I'm in control, but I'm not in control at all. There's something bigger than me steering the car, guiding it where it's going, but I don't know where that is. So, you know, part of me needs to be afraid about that, but another part of me gets to feel exhilarated. Like, how awesome would that be to just be going 8,000 miles an hour, allowing what wants to live through you to live through at high speed, no handbrake. You got me excited, Brock.
Yeah, gets me all excited. Yeah, go.
You should do life coaching, man. You have me feeling better.
I'll sign you up after the call. It's good.
Yeah.
You can sign me up. It's good. But what I was going to say too with that, one of my friends a while ago, I noticed that he'd left his house, his relationship, everything, and he went on this pilgrimage at about 50 something years old, and he was sleeping on people's floors and living super simply. And he goes, Brock, I'm just being of greatest expression to the universe that I know is possible. And then he kept saying that. 8 years later, he looks younger. Less gray hairs, looks younger, he looks different. Now, like he'll literally be walking along the beach and then he'll get booked for the next speaking gig. And it was fun because it's kind of like how I choose to live. And I saw someone else doing it at an older age and I went, I don't have to start changing just to fit in. And he also said something to me, which just brought up when you said something then, was I just being the greatest contribution to the universe. I run around the planet having the best time ever. Life's amazing. Life's awesome. Even if I'm delusional, I'm still, he said it, owned it. Even if I'm delusional, because I could be, I'm still having the greatest time I've ever imagined is possible on planet Earth. And it keeps getting better.
Man, those are wise words. And that triggers a thought in me where I believe kind of like the first part of our life, if you divide life into two phases, it seems to be the first part of our life is all about creating a sense of self and creating a sense of control, which I think ultimately our sense of self is what gives us control. And then I think the second phase of our life, whether that comes up at the proverbial midlife crisis, or if it comes up earlier because we're opening our eyes, being the active seeker, a little bit later, whenever it comes up, I think we then shift essentially the fundamental navigation system of our life where now it's not about creating a sense of self, but letting that sense of self go. And it's not about creating control, but surrendering control. And the dude you mentioned, I mean, man, that's a walking example of being, of surrendering control and being of service to the universe and the higher consciousness that wants to live through. And that's all easier said than done. But that's a beautiful, that story you mentioned, that's a beautiful North Star to strive for, I think.
It's fun to see him because when, Richard, if you're watching, is my friend Richard, I love him, man. And what I love with him is he goes around, he spends a lot of time with all the spiritual people. So he dresses in his like tie-dyed shirts and all that sort of stuff. But he's also a businessman. He's been a businessman his whole life. He's got he's got the premium products, cost quite a bit. And then it's an extra spiritual thing. So he's brought the worlds together in such a way that it just creates his lifestyle. And he knows all the things, he knows about recurring income, all the different things. And I think so many times we try and create separation between these worlds when it's actually all connected.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well said. Yeah, I think wholeness is, one definition of wholeness is having our feet on the ground and our head in the sky. I think some of us get out of balance where we're so damn rooted in the ground that our head's in the sand. Others of us get our head in the clouds so much we live in an abstract, etheric world, but we're not grounded. I think we need the sky, and I think we need the ground. Maybe life is smart enough that's why it gives us both. And our job is to pay attention and live the symbolic expression of both, being grounded as well as gazing into the mystery of the limitless sky.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. I was talking to someone else about it and how, us white guys, and then the indigenous look at the sky in two different ways. So Western world, we tend to go and look out at all the different shiny things around, like shiny car, shiny this, blah, blah, blah. And our indigenous friends, when they go out to the sky, Western guys might look up and go, wow, there's stars everywhere. And our indigenous friends would look at the mysterious space. They would contemplate and reflect. They don't look at just the stars to get directions. They just notice the space and pay attention to the space, which is an interesting one. I've been saying it lately. This is my little daily thing. I'm choosing to live the greatest love story ever told and pay attention at all times.
Wow.
And the more that I say that, literally, I have to put the details in today, but in the future, I win another competition called the greatest love story ever told. Interesting.
That
Huh?
is pretty cool. Absolutely.
Just,
And that makes me curious. Maybe we all have that opportunity to live the greatest love story ever told, live the greatest life ever told. But maybe the soft whispering question that life whispers into our ear is, are you going to pay attention to how it unfolds? Or are you going to live the greatest life ever, but never have the sensitivity and the mindfulness to notice it? And what I love about your affirmation, what it represents to me is a call to be mindful, a call to be mindful of how it shows up for you. And little I don't know, curiosity I have about, call it prayers, intentions, affirmations, whatever we want to call it. I think it's all the same thing. But I do believe there's no prayer that goes unanswered. I think 95% of people would say, I prayed for whatever and it never showed up. I would dare say that meditation is paying attention to how the prayer shows up. I think in our literal minds, we create a story of how our prayer will show up. And it's always literally, we might pray for, I want great riches. And then for the next 2 years, we look at our bank statement and say, why am I still broke? Because we're blind to the riches are showing up in a much more voluminous way than just the one-dimensional limitation of literal money. So anyway, I love the call to mindfulness that I get from how I heard your lovely words.
It's just like playing that more and more, just having that joy of being alive. Like, we're so blessed. But I want to go to a different direction now, because it's nice to talk about when things are working. Not necessarily the opposite of momentum, because in momentum there can be challenges. You go for something different. You can just have momentum. You can go and be a real estate agent your whole life and be the master of your craft, and you're really good at it on the outside, but inside you feel dead. And I've had a few of those times in my life where I'd mastered my craft, and on the inside I felt dead. On the outside, everyone's like, wow, you're amazing, you're making so much money, if you're doing so well, blah, blah, blah. So talk me through one of your most challenging chapters of your life and what you did to overcome it.
I love that. Big picture looking in, I'll get specific on me in a second. Big picture looking in, I think those challenges, those points of feeling stuck are so damn important. If we don't find them in our life once in a while, then I don't think we're living large enough. I think life is meant to be, we need a challenge. It's like a samurai sword. It doesn't sharpen unless it has the friction of a stone to grind against. That's not to say that we need to be stuck for long periods of time, but yeah, damn it. I think those challenging times where we might feel defeated and deflated inside, they suck. We don't like them. They feel like crap, but I think those are huge, huge times of catalyzing our growth, where our sword is getting really sharp. It might take a little while. But anyway, long story short, I've deflected from the intimacy of my heart for enough. I think, the call it the dark period that shows up for me right now, and there's others, but the one that shows up right now is I was 18, 19, and 20. During that stretch of that 2 or 3 year period, I felt purposeless, pointless, purposeless, and like it wasn't okay for me to just be me. I felt like an inconvenience to the world. My parents too, I was 18, still living at home. And I just felt like my presence was not okay to be there. I had this deep sense of, I've got to earn my right to be alive. I've got to earn approval. I've got to earn validation for being in someone's life. And I don't know how to earn it.
Mm.
I don't even know how to try to earn it. And that was a time especially at 18, I started going to university, not knowing what I wanted to do or study, and just felt incredibly scared. Like, what the hell am I going to do my whole life?
Mm.
And then I only went to 1 year because I started failing all my classes, just felt so discouraged. Like one of my gifts, which felt like a curse then, I can't get myself to pay attention to information and study information that doesn't speak to my heart. If I don't feel there's a purpose in my life for it, then I develop this massive learning disability. And I think that it's like a brilliant navigation system, but scared me before I could figure out why that is. So yeah, and I think it'd be interesting to measure the amount of fear and shame that I had. It was a lot. It was uncomfortable. I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, like, yeah, there's a lot of depression there as well. And I think what helped me, three things come to mind. One is keep my feet moving. You know, there's times I metaphorically fall down and stay stuck for a while, but for the most part, I'd keep my feet moving, not knowing where the hell I'm going, not even believing that I'm going to get anywhere other than this shitty feeling place of where I'm at. So for me, that's important. I think to me, the purpose of life has nothing to do with knowing the purpose of life. So I didn't know the purpose of moving my feet then, but it was helpful. I think it was Winston Churchill who said, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Nice.
The second thing that really helped me was getting into learning about different perspectives of life. And for me, that was through books. That was when I started getting into reading spiritual books, books on like psychology, Eckhart Tolle, things like that, where it's like, okay, how I'm seeing the world, how I'm perceiving myself, I'm stuck. You can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. So in a sense, upping my level of consciousness by learning new perspectives was so helpful. Specifically, a book that really spoke to me was a book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I love that book. It sounds like super religious, but I think it's super not religious. It's philosophical, it's spiritual. But that one, you know how sometimes like you read something you're like, I never knew that before, but I think I've always known that. I just didn't know that I knew that. But it's like I have this sense of uncovering and remembering, like, yeah, I've always felt that to be true, but I didn't have the words to create a framework to understand what's inside of me. So that book really helped me. And then lastly, keep my feet moving, reading. And then the third thing that really helped me was I found a mentor, a guy named, do you know of Paul Chek?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's when I started studying Paul Chek's stuff and built a close relationship with him. He was definitely a mentor to me, hugely influential at that time. And that I can't put a value on that. It was priceless. And looking back, aside from all the gifts that mentoring gave me with Paul Chek, I think some of the greatest benefit of having a mentor boiled down to seeing how my mentor saw me, seeing how he believed in me more than I believed in me, seeing how he could see something brilliant in me that I couldn't see. That was helpful. And that I realized there's a shadow side, like you can just lose your sense of self and become who you think your mentor thinks you are. Yeah, that's the shadow side of having a mentor. That can happen. And to me, it did to a degree. But there's also the brilliant light side and some of the side effects, but this brilliant light side. So yeah, that really started a new relationship with myself, seeing how Paul Chek saw me is very
Nice.
cool.
He's an amazing guy. If you guys haven't seen him, check it out. I've had a lot of friends that have done stuff with Paul, and learned a lot of the movement patterns. And yeah, he's definitely a guy that's alive. He just jumping
He's a
out of his
unique,
skin.
very unique guy.
So good. We're about to get to that point. I just want to keep chatting all day. I do have to jump onto something else in a little bit. But final comment you want to say today. See how you can interweave dreams, momentum, consciousness, and clarity for me right now.
Awesome.
Because dreams came up at the start of the call, and it's something that I'm interested in too.
Yeah.
Paying attention.
Yeah. Here's my thought on it. I think a powerful source of momentum in our lives comes not when we're dreaming our dreams, but when we're paying attention to the dreams that are given to us. Not the dreams our human mind creates, like, oh, I want to do this and stuff we put on our vision board, which has merit. But I'm talking about the bigger dreams. So when we learn to not say, here's the life I want to live, but when we learn to ask, what does life want to live through me? I think that gives us this self-perpetuating momentum because it's perpetuated from beyond ourself, not by ourself. I think that is incredible, and I think that's a very sustainable source of fuel that keeps our momentum going. It's not a finite, expendable, willpower motivated sense of fuel. So I think the clearer and more conscious we can become of what wants to live through us, the more we can allow it to happen. The dream of our life that wants to live through us, when we can become curious about that, conscious about that, I think there's a lot of momentum that blesses. It just floods in.
I love that. That was just such a powerful way to end the call, my brother. I love it. Open up some stuff with me. I got a few of those goosebumps when I get those things. Just your body's like, yeah, makes you come alive. I love it, my brother. How can we find you? What's the best way to find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, well, I'd invite everybody to check out my YouTube channel. It's probably the best way to stay connected with me. My channel is just Awaken with JP, or youtube.com/awakenwithjp.
I can put that below as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You can subscribe to me there. I'm putting out new videos every week, multiple times a week, oftentimes. So yeah, that's where the freshest stuff is pouring out of me. And if you're incredibly offended by my presence, then that's the one place you'll want to make sure to stay away from on the internet.
I love your videos, man. I told a couple of people I was going to be having a chat with you, and they were really stoked to see what we talked about. And it's an absolute pleasure. Looking forward to when we do get to meet in the flesh. We've just talking about those things. JP and I have literally been within, I reckon, maybe a few kilometers of each other at one point. You were just about to get on a plane, and we just had these few times. But I have those times with a lot of friends around the world now where I'm annoyed for a moment because my coaching client doesn't answer their phone. And I'm like, oh, something better is going to happen. And then I walk down the beach, and then, of course, there's my friend from California on the beach. Or something else, like something else always happens. It's amazing. So let's stay in that beautiful high vibrational, I'm not even getting my words out. Let's stay in that beautiful high vibrational, amazing, scrumptious energy, and just keep bringing our gifts to the world, man. I'll have this uploaded for you soon. Thanks so much, brother.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure, Brock. Thank you for having me, my friend.
Peace. Bam.